Awesome. And I'll pass it over to Ketsia.
Hi there, it's Ketsia, and I am the social media community manager here at HeyOrca. I'm seeing a lot of very familiar faces, so it's really great to see you guys. Welcome to the webinar. What I do is mainly like social media stuff, and I love doing a lot of the graphics. So that's kind of my role here at HeyOrca, and I'm passing it over to Robyn.
Hi guys, thank you so much for the warm welcome. So I'm Robyn from the UK, if you could not tell. I'm a freelance social media manager, but I also shout about mental health a lot on LinkedIn. So I really advocate for that, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into this survey and talk a bit about my own experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Robyn. We are so excited to have you with us today. And we can also share Robyn's LinkedIn and Instagram account in the chat as well if you want to connect with Robyn after this call. And to go over a few housekeeping items quickly, if you need closed captions turned on for this webinar, there are two different ways that you can do it. So you can do it through your Chrome browser. So if you go to your settings and go to the bottom and select accessibility, you'll be able to turn on live captions. And if you have a Mac, you can go to menu and system settings, and you can turn on captions there as well. And then we do upload our webinars to YouTube after it processes. So there's also closed captions there as well if you do want to rewatch it. And we do have a daily newsletter. So we have a newsletter that goes out every Monday to Friday. And in this newsletter, you will get free resources, content ideas, trending audio, social news, everything you could possibly need. So if you are not a part of our newsletter yet, we can definitely put Ketsia is putting some links in the chat there to go to all of our different channels. So definitely check all of that out. So if you're not subscribed, I'm biased, but I recommend you subscribe. And then we also are on social, of course. So you can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We've been stepping up our TikTok game. Going to give our TikTok a shout out. Ketsia has been doing an awesome job on there. So definitely check us out. And then we also have a Facebook group called the HeyOrca community. So this is a community of more than, I think, 5,100 around there, social media managers from all over the world. And we just talk about social news, updates. If you need advice on anything, it's a really great place to go. So Ketsia put the link to that in the chat. If you are if you are not a part of it already, definitely join us. And we do love to do giveaways. So every webinar, we love to do a giveaway. We're doing 2 different giveaways today. So the first one is to win an Amazon gift card. So all you have to do to win this gift card is head over to our Instagram and answer our poll question. So our poll question is, do you feel like you are prioritizing your mental health right now? So head over to our Instagram, vote on that poll, and then at the end of the webinar, I'll be randomly selecting somebody who has voted. And also feel free to share your answers in the chat as well. Do you feel like you're prioritizing your mental health right now? Or maybe is that an area that you're looking to get better at? And the second one, we are going to be giving away HeyOrca merch. So this one is for our HeyOrca customers that are in the webinar today. So you could walk away with one of these very cool hats. And to win this hat, if you're a HeyOrca customer, let us know in the chat what HeyOrca feature helps you take back your day and saves you time. So let us know what feature is one that you could not live without. It always saves you time every day. Let us know. I feel like I have a few in my mind right now that I would write. I'm just going to say copy post would be mine.
Yeah, actually AI captions took over copy post in a recent survey. Copy post used to be the top one, and then now AI captions and drag and drop. Drag and drop's the other one. Sorry, I'm giving out answers here.
But I know, I'm like, oh no.
But copy post used to be a fan favorite, but then I think I got outshined in a couple other webinars.
Yeah. AI captions is very, very helpful. So definitely a lifesaver.
True. I think anything AI is just a lifesaver.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, I haven't seen anyone say my favorite yet, which is the social inbox. Forever will love the social inbox.
Yep. Yep. That one definitely saves time. You don't only have to go to one spot, which is awesome. Loving all your answers.
If you have social inbox, just a heads up, in a couple weeks, we'll have DMs as well. You'll be able to manage your DMs in one place. Plus, all of these are powered by AI suggestions, which is my favorite as well, because it's really crazy seeing what AI would say to a troll. It's very polite, but I would definitely not have that patience. That's why I'm really excited for it.
Hunter is very excited.
Yes, Hunter. So a couple weeks time.
Awesome. So I will be randomly selecting someone from the names that have participated in the chat there at the very end, and a winner will be chosen for the hats. And if you are new to our webinars, we do webinars every single week. So our webinar next week, we are going to be going over how to create a social media manager portfolio, which from what I see online on LinkedIn and Facebook groups, this is always a really big question. Everyone wants to know what actually needs to be in it. How should you format it? So we're going to be going over all of that next week. So Ketsia just put the link to that in the chat. So if you are looking to create a portfolio or maybe revamp one that you already have, this is definitely a webinar you will want to attend. All right, so now we're going to get into it. So today we are going to be going over our HeyOrca mental health survey results. So for the past couple of weeks, we've had a mental health survey going around, and Ketsia has compiled all of the results, and it's really interesting. So Ketsia is going to take us through all of those results. And then after, we're going to be having a one-on-one conversation with Robyn about mental health. So definitely feel free to ask as many questions as you want in the chat, and we'll get right into it. So I will pass it over to Ketsia.
Hi, everyone. So I'm so excited to go over the numbers. Like Alyssa said, it's so interesting to see. First of all, we're looking at who filled out this survey. So mainly our biggest demographic is in the US, which is kind of a given. But also Canada and the UK, Robyn, represent. So that's really cool. And then obviously there's other places, but they just made like a very small percentage of that. Most marketers have 2 to 3 years of experience, and then also 7 years of experience. So there's like kind of this huge gap in between. And majority were in the marketing and advertising industry. I'm assuming that they're in agencies. I think that agencies are like very big. So that's my assumption. I'm not saying that's true, by the way. It's just an assumption. And then over only 40.2% of the people who filled out this survey actually had the title of social media manager, which I think is so interesting because they were all managing social media, but only 40% had the title of social media manager. And it really highlights how, sometimes I feel like companies don't understand the importance of social media. So they might just hand it over to someone who happens to know how to post something on Facebook or something. So I think that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, when I was looking at all of the results, that was one I was like, whoa, because you had the option to add what your title was, and it was crazy. It was all over the place, and titles that you'd think, oh, wow, like this person is running social. So just like Ketsia said, like sometimes social is just kind of thrown around like, oh, you can just add this onto your task, but it's actually a huge job to take on, and a job in itself. So it was crazy to look at.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything to that, Robyn.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I've worked in marketing for the last 4.5 years, and since I've gone freelance, this is myself calling me a social media manager. I've never had that title before. I've had project coordinator, general marketer, marketing assistant, but it's never been actual social media manager, even though that's part of one of the main parts of the job. So yeah, it's really interesting.
No, that's interesting. And I think I saw a project coordinator and a customer success manager and just like so many different things. But yeah, like Hunter was saying, they've asked for the manager part of the title for years, but they haven't been able
And
to
I
get
think
it.
that's a really important point that Hunter brought up, because a lot of times when you think about manager, I think there's a misconception that, oh, you can't have the manager part in your title because you're not managing people. But I think like maybe leaders need to understand that manager, you can be a manager of people, a manager of programs. And I think when you say social media manager, it's very obvious that it's not a manager of people, let's say. It'll be a manager of programs. And I think like it's a really important distinction, right? If you have management, it doesn't mean that you're just managing people. You can be managing relationships with with your clients, or managing programs. So I feel sometimes there's still a little bit more education that needs to be had around usage of some words.
Yeah. I feel like I also learned something right now because that I did not know. So thank you for letting us know that. And then also, I think one of the really interesting things is how understaffed teams are, because we keep talking about social media teams, but majority of the people are actually a one-man show. We have over 54%, 54.9% are a one-man show. Over 4 out of 5 social media teams only have 3 or less people. And yeah, people also said like, we are understaffed. When we asked them, like, do you feel like your social media team is understaffed? Over 70% of you guys said that you felt understaffed. So I think for me, like, I've worked at smaller teams mainly. I don't mind it necessarily because I think it really depends. But I think that sometimes some teams could be bigger. Like I've worked at agencies where I was managing like so many clients and so many accounts. And I was like, okay, no, that's just crazy. I feel like if you're managing one client, that's fine. But if you're managing like 8 different clients with all like 4 different platforms, that's insane. I don't know about you guys, but that's just something that that I think is a little bit crazy.
And yeah, Joe asked in the chat, who's a team of one? And I'm seeing so many teams of one. So shout out to all of you. I know how hard that can be when it's just you kind of doing all of those different things. So definitely keep sharing with us there in the chat.
Exactly. Sorry, my voice. Exactly. That was weird. So sorry. But yeah, I think someone was shouting out HeyOrca to help them manage, even though they were a team of one. So we're happy that we can help in that aspect. So I think another thing that was really interesting is pop culture and virality. We wanted to know if anyone felt pressure to keep up with trends and keep like wanting to make viral content. And I think it's important to note that like majority of us, like over 65%, feel the pressure to keep up with trends and keep up with trying to create viral videos or viral content. By the way, if you want, guys, we have a newsletter where we send you like all the trends, memes, templates, all that stuff straight to your inbox, so you don't have to keep up with it manually anymore. So I hope that can kind of help. But if you're having issues like keeping up with things, but I think that's really interesting. I think before I subscribed to the HeyOrca newsletter, I felt kind of overwhelmed. And I'm saying that totally unbiased. I know I work here, but I'm saying that totally unbiased. It really helps having those daily emails and what's trending, what's new. And Alyssa is doing a really great job at creating all of those. So yeah, I think the pressure is there, but I don't know trend. Sorry. Yeah, you were saying, Joe. Sorry.
I was going to say that one of the things that it was one of the things that drove us to want to make the newsletter the best newsletter that you'll ever receive. That's basically our standard. And it was actually driven by one of the mental health surveys that we did probably like 2 years ago. And keeping up with trends was one of the big things. And we said, what if one person, which is us, does the homework for everyone, and everybody can copy from us. That's actually how we started a newsletter, and we're like, okay, newsletter needs to be feeling like you're copying from that kid in school. I'm sure we've done that, or at least I did. There's always a smart kid I go to and then say, hey, can you help me copy? Can I just copy a little bit of that? And so that's actually what sparked the newsletter as well. Just a little bit backstory. It's one of these surveys and us talking, and Alyssa and I were talking, what if we create a newsletter where we're keeping up with trends and make sure that it's really valuable, that people would be able to actually implement things in their day-to-day.
Yeah. And I also think like one of the best things is like at the end of the month when you guys like compile everything in the presentation, and then you guys can literally just take the presentation and present it to, whoever your clients, your company. I think that's also a really great addition. But yeah, Robyn, go ahead.
Thank you. I think there's so much added pressure as well, because for me, I've got lots of different clients across lots of different industries. And if you work in an agency, it'll be the same thing. And it's not just looking for viral content from one sector. You've got to spread yourself across, be looking everywhere, different news stations, anything. And then you've got to be like, right, how can I apply this for this person? And then how can I change that and put a different angle on it for another person? So yeah, it's like you're stressing out for so many different things.
Exactly. No, I completely understand. That was before me. Now I'm at a chill team, but when it's in an agency, it's a lot of work to be able, and they're all like different industries too. Like I had food, entertainment, tech, beauty. It was like all different things, but you have to apply those trends. So I completely understand. Okay, so going into the workload. So we asked you guys how many accounts you managed just in general in your day-to-day. And over 71.2% are managing over 5 accounts, which is, I feel like it depends if it's account, because I feel like there's sometimes different terms for accounts. It could be like social media accounts or, client accounts. So I'm sorry that we couldn't clarify it better, but it's still like a lot. I think it's crazy that there's such a big percentage that is managing 10 to 20 accounts. Like, do you even sleep? Do you even eat at this point? Like, I don't even know how you're able to do that. And then 28.7% are managing less than 5 accounts, which is a lot healthier, I think, than, 10 to 20 accounts. I was doing 12 accounts and it was not healthy personally. Yeah, I think 14 different accounts for Hunter. Really nice managing 3 accounts. Yeah, 14 is a lot of work. Prayers with you, Hunter. And then in terms of burnout, unfortunately, over 89.1% of you guys said that they felt burnt out at some point in their career. And one of the main causes, like I put them all in like not chronological order, the order of like the most, sorry. Obviously, I was not the best in school, but the first one is a large workload, keeping up with the latest industry updates, which again is a lot, lack of appreciation, minimal career growth, tight deadlines, no work-life balance, and lack of support from your manager. So, I mean, I think it's really sad. I mean, to see that these are all the main causes, and hopefully, there's other resources and stuff that you guys can use to kind of alleviate and make it a little bit easier. Like I said, what's it called? Our newsletter can maybe help with the workload and trends and stuff. In terms of like lack of appreciation, sorry, but we appreciate you. We do appreciate you, but we can't force your job to do that. But yeah, I think that's a very important conversation that we need to have about burnout. I don't know if Joe, Alyssa, Robyn, you guys ever have suffered from burnout when it comes to keeping up with social media or even just with your job, but feel free to let us know.
Yeah, actually, something I actually noticed about the number is that I think this is actually higher than the last survey we did, which I think was near the middle or of the year. So it's gone up a bit since then. So I'm trying to, wonder like, okay, what happened between now and then? And I don't know, like maybe this time of year is extra crazy because you're getting to the end of the year. We're now in Q4. You're trying to tie up all of these things before the year is done. So maybe time of year, like there's different times of year that are maybe more stressful than others. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think that maybe it could have gone up as well because there's more of like an open conversation around burnout. So I think a few years ago, I definitely would have been burnt out, but I wouldn't have admitted to it or even understood what that is. But now I can clearly kind of identify like, yeah, I've been working way too much and I need to calm down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I feel like I didn't know what burnout was before until I kind of described it to someone and they were like, honey, you're burnt out. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, and Pamela says, I think the lack of appreciation stems a lot from clients not truly understand what's involved in social media management. And I think that's where all of us can come in, which is raising awareness through our social profiles, talking about, what it takes to be a social media manager. Like if you really want it done right and done well, what it takes, right? And also raising awareness around some of these stressors that comes with being a social media manager. And I think the industry has improved where we're talking about this more openly and we're sharing our journeys together on LinkedIn. And I think the more that we do that, I think the better. And myself, like being the founder of the company, I feel like, that's a platform that I can sort of advocate for our community more as well. And I think like all of us, if all of us talk about it, all of us share our journey, that's one way as well that we're able to, show more of the behind the scenes look of what it takes to be a social media manager. I do think that things are getting better, but at the same time, still a lot more awareness that needs to be done.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I just wanted to touch on a tiny thing, and which is minimal career growth. I think that it's interesting that people kind of brought that up because social media is such a new career that you can't really place where it's going to be because literally 10 years ago, we did not have social media managers the way that we do right now. But I think at HeyOrca, we strongly believe that, social media managers of today are the CMOs of tomorrow. So don't think that your skills are invaluable. They're very, very valuable, especially as, the industry progresses. So I don't know, maybe I hope that kind of inspires you and makes you feel a little bit better about working in social media. So I think that's like the only thing that we have in terms of like the survey, and we can go into, asking Robyn some questions, right?
Awesome. So yes, we are now going to have a one-on-one conversation with Robyn. So I'm actually just going to take the presentation away so our faces are bigger. But before we get into some of the questions we have, Robyn, do you want to maybe tell us a bit more about your journey with your mental health through social media?
Yeah, of course. So I'm really open about my mental health. I've struggled with it since I was a child, to be honest. I was kind of in and out of mental health services and they could never really pin what was wrong. I've later found out that I've got ADHD, which I will touch on a bit later. I've just been kind of spending the last couple of years just advocating for good mental health, looking after yourself, how hiring managers and companies can better support their staff, because at the end of the day, our mental health is the foundation behind literally everything that we do. So if we're not looking after ourselves, then we can't do anything to the best of our abilities. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's so true. And when you started to get into social media, when was the first time that you realized like, wow, I'm feeling really burnt out?
So as I said before, I think if I knew more about burnout before, I definitely would have said a few years ago. But I think the first time properly was earlier this year. And I just started freelancing and I literally worked every single day for a month, no weekends, working late nights, just because I wanted to get the job done and I wasn't very prepared. But yeah, that quickly had a huge toll on me, obviously. I was just constantly tired, low mental health, very irritable, easily overwhelmed. And yeah, it was mainly just because I wasn't making time for myself. I was pushing myself to do way too much. And it kind of ended up being the harder I pushed myself, the less productive and creative I could be until I physically couldn't do it anymore. It was very unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like often you don't really know you're burnt out until you've already kind of crossed the line. And now you're like way past it. You really need to take a break. Like kind of like what you just said, you're just not motivated to do anything else. So yeah, I always find it's like you figure out you're burnt out past the point of you actually burning out. And earlier you mentioned that you have ADHD. So how has that affected your work as a social media manager?
Yeah, so it's affected me both positively and negatively. I feel like people kind of automatically go into, oh, here are my challenges with ADHD, but I'm going to speak about the good things first. So I'm a very creative person for my ADHD, which makes it very easy to dive into things like design work and writing and things like that. I absolutely love being able to do so many different things in one job. I know that obviously that is a huge factor of burnout, is that we're all wearing so many hats, but at the same time, it's really good for me, keeps me on my toes, keeps my mental health kind of up there because I'm not doing one thing. And then one of the other things that I really love about having ADHD and being in this job is I can just hyper focus on things when I really love them. I get really engrossed in tasks. If I've got like a set project to do, then I can really dive into that. Obviously, that can also go the other way, and then I'll spend way too long doing something. But I just like to say that's my perfectionist self. And then I guess kind of more on the challenging side, I get very distracted very easily, which I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to. Obviously, I do kind of try and keep my phone out of the room to keep the distractions to a minimal, but being a social media manager, obviously we need our phones a lot. So I kind of try and do things like putting do not disturb mode on or turning off certain notifications that I don't need, anything that's going to distract me like that. I've always got my earphones in, or if I don't, then I use these things called loop earplugs, and they're just really good for noise sensitivity and things like that. But yeah, and then another one is time management as well. I can find it quite hard to kind of estimate time or allocate time, but then I've just got different apps that I use, things like this one called Timo and then this one called Asana. So they kind of just keep me up to date with all of my social media needs, really.
Awesome. And we have Jennifer in the chat. She says, ADD here. I love your positive thoughts, Robyn. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Jennifer. Yeah, I've actually, I've had a couple people in my life, like a couple of my friends who are just recently getting diagnosed with ADHD. It's like they've struggled with it forever, but never actually got a diagnosis. And now that they are getting that, they're able to like really learn how to navigate it. So it's really interesting that it can really be diagnosed at any point in life. But yeah, they're navigating that right now and trying to figure out how to make it, work and navigate it, which is pretty interesting. But
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna chime in and say that I literally discovered a couple months ago that my dad had ADHD his entire life, and he was just labeled as the troubled kid, because he had it, and I feel like especially back in the day, they didn't really know what it was or how to, navigate it. So I'm so happy that it's a more open conversation and that we have people like Robyn or Ellie. I don't know. There's this girl on LinkedIn also who talks about it a lot.
Love Ellie.
That kind of bring awareness to this, because it's not a bad thing. It's just, knowing how to live with it and just adapting, and that's it, so really happy about it.
Nice. Awesome. Lots of comments in the chat here, which is awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing. Definitely keep sharing in the chat. And you mentioned that you use the Loop headphones. I've always seen ads for those. So are they noise canceling headphones?
Yeah, essentially, they're ones that kind of go inside of your ear. They're not the big ones. You can get loads of different types. So if you need them if you need them to go to events, they can help calm down the noise there. Or I have ones that are specifically good for conversation, so you can still hear what somebody's saying, but all of that background noise is just a lot less. And yeah, it's key to me being able to focus, especially if I go and work somewhere that's not quiet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about those headphones. So yeah, you touched on a few different things, like programs and different things that you use, but do you have any other specific routines that help you stay focused and balanced through your social media work?
Yeah, so again, with the ADHD, having a routine is really important for me, but I also kind of need to be mixing it up a little bit so that I don't get bored, I don't want to work anymore, obviously. So I kind of have some non-negotiable things like I never go on social media when I first woken up. I feel like that kind of gets me in a really negative headspace, and I'm kind of already taking in other people's lives before I've even started mine, if that makes sense. So I kind of try and have 30 minutes at least without any social media, without my phone. I always start the day by saying 3 things that I'm grateful for, and that always kind of puts me in a much more positive mood. I've recently started going for a walk every lunchtime. I feel like you can kind of bash through all of your work the whole morning, and then it's the middle of the day and you're like, oh, I feel quite overwhelmed now, or I haven't taken 5 minutes for myself. My eyes are hurting because I've been staring at this laptop for too long. So yeah, dog walking time is at lunchtime for me, and that has been a huge game changer for my mental health. And obviously just getting your body moving is great as well. Get those creative juices flowing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I go for walks at lunch as well because I have a dog. So I feel like getting a dog was such a good way to like force myself to go on walks, because now I'm like, I have to take her for a walk, so I have to go. But having an afternoon walk is always so nice because it really like splits up your day. So you can just like clear your head, get some fresh air. Always so good. Let us know if anyone else does some lunchtime walks. Jennifer, walks are awesome. Yes. And then Jennifer says routines are essential for people with mental disorders. Yes. Yeah, I feel like that's also really good what you said about not going on social for 30 minutes in the morning. I feel like that's something I'm bad at. Like I feel like right when I wake up and like I check my phone and I like start scrolling like while I'm still like opening my eyes. So it's like I need to just not look when I wake up. I feel like the morning would feel so peaceful if I just didn't open them yet. But yeah, that's awesome.
Oh no, I definitely recommend it. At the moment, I'm not totally screen free, but at least I'm kind of out of that social media bubble for a little bit.
Yeah, totally. And the next one, are there any specific boundaries that you like to set between your personal and professional life on social media to try to maintain mental clarity?
So boundaries is something that I'm actually not great at sticking with, that I think most people aren't as well, but I'm really trying at the moment. So I have like typically just a separate account for my work things and my personal things, and have that strict rule of once I finish work, we're not looking at them. I really hate on my phone when it's got little notifications. So I've been telling myself it's fine, it doesn't matter that there's a notification there, just ignore it. Or I've been switching that off so that there's no temptation at all. I've recently been trying out doing a social media free day at the weekend, usually on a Sunday, and then I can just kind of collect my thoughts, plan for the week ahead, kind of get my mental health in a good space, and just enjoy life, because I feel like I used to spend way too much time just absorbing other people's lives instead. And then another one is unfollowing people that don't kind of bring you that positivity and uplift you or motivate you. If anybody is bringing you down for any reason, then just unfollow them. You don't need to be seeing that every day.
That's so true. I feel like that's a very underrated tip, is just like go through the people you follow on Instagram or wherever you spend the most time and just unfollow some people. Unfollow any, maybe you're following a bunch of like celebrity accounts and you're watching all these crazy lives, and that can always affect you if you're just constantly looking at that. So I've done that a few times where I just go through the people I follow and I just kind of do a cleanse and just be like, okay, I don't need to look at this anymore.
Yeah, me too. I have a couple like creators blocked because I'm just like, every time I see you, you just piss me off. So I just don't want to see your face.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a personal thing, but it really helps. I just protect your sanity, protect your peace.
So true.
Exactly.
Everyone, when you're done on this webinar, go and cleanse the people that you follow on social media. Definitely recommend it. And then this one kind of ties into that question, actually. How do you handle the constant need of being connected to social media? So you say you have like your social media free Sunday, which I think is an amazing idea. I feel like I want to do that too. But do you do any other, like, do you set any time limits for apps or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think it can be really overwhelming, definitely. Some days I literally want to delete all of the apps. I'm like, right, I'm done with social media. We're not doing this anymore. So I've been trying to stick to the boundaries that I've said before, but doing things like, turning off notifications to social media apps or just popping my phone on Do Not Disturb. And then I've just been trying to prioritize the platforms that are actually important to me. So I used to spend most of my time just scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, and absolutely no problem if that's what you like to do, if that's where you learn from, that's what you do. But I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and that's kind of created a much more healthy relationship with social media for me, because I'm on there for the purpose of spreading all of this advocacy and connecting with like-minded people, and I don't feel like I'm wasting my time as much. And then I'd say another one that I find really important is just schedule everything, because then you don't have to be like, oh, I haven't done that, I need to go on social media. You just know that it's all going out, you know?
That's so true. Awesome.
Oh, my laptop is going to die. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just going to read some of these things. I love to set timers. Yes. I actually set time limits on some social apps a while ago. And right when I did it, it was like I would just ignore the notification when it would come up. I'd be like, no. And then I'm like, okay, I need to stick to this. I need to just go off of it. And so once I started to really listen, when it was like, okay, you've reached your time limit for Instagram, like you don't need to go on it. And then when I go on the next day, when it resets, I didn't miss anything. There's not like there was anything crazy going on. I think that's the thing. You think you're missing something, you're missing out on, seeing something, but really there is nothing. There's nothing you're going to miss.
I think also like one of the things, well, kind of two things, like the whole thing about I deleted my kind of personal TikTok because I was spending too much time scrolling on there, and now I only have a TikTok for mainly marketing, so I can just kind of keep up with like trends and all that stuff. And then obviously on LinkedIn, I'm like very active, especially now. As a team collectively, we're very active on LinkedIn. But also like with the whole like time limit thing, and because I was seeing the comments here saying like, how do I remove myself even though I am like managing the Facebooks and stuff? Now that I work here, like we all kind of log off at a certain time, and after that, like I try not to. I say try because sometimes I'm on there and Joe catches me and like calls me up the next day. He's like, why were you online yesterday? But I try really, like every time I'm like, okay, I get this message after a certain time, that's tomorrow's problem. Like people are not going to die because you don't reply to their comment in the next 5 minutes. So I think that's also a thing that I do a lot more, for sure.
So true. And I know we have only like 5 minutes left, so I'll go to one more question, and then we'll take any questions. If anyone has a question, definitely leave it in the chat, and then we will do our giveaway. But for the last question, do you have any resources that you turn to when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed? So is there any, apps you use, or maybe people that you follow that have really good advice around this sort of thing? Anything you can let the viewers know?
Yeah, sure. So my number one go-to is just kind of reaching out to a loved one or a friend. I feel like just being honest about how you're feeling is always key. I've got obviously friends and colleagues that work in the same space, so they're the go-to because they completely understand what I'm talking about. And then I think just in general, when it comes to my mental health and specific this, I like using the Headspace app. I used to find it really hard to meditate having ADHD because my mind would just wander, obviously, but it takes you through guided meditations and teaches you how to do it properly. But I recently discovered that they've got a section on there called Mindfulness at Work, and they've got different kind of talks and courses and meditations you can do specifically for challenges at work. So if I'm too overwhelmed, I will just take 10 minutes out of my day to kind of go do one of those, or when I go on my walk, I can listen to one. So that's really handy. And then obviously I mentioned earlier, I use the Timo app. That's kind of my daily planner, and that can also block out like power hours for you and things like that. And then Asana is a project management specific one that has everything I possibly need to do in one go, so that I can kind of break things down and not feel too overwhelmed. But yeah.
Awesome.
Keep going.
Yeah, I feel like Headspace is awesome. I've used, I have a Aura ring, and so they have meditation within their app. And I've actually tried a few of theirs for sleeping. Like sometimes when you go to sleep, you have like way too much on your mind and then you can't sleep forever. So I've actually tried some of their sleep ones, and I don't know if it's like in my head, but I'm asleep before it's done. Like I never remember it actually ending, so I must fall asleep sometime during it. But it's so good. So definitely recommend sleep meditation. But yeah, that is all the questions we have. Thank you so much, Robyn. This was amazing. And I feel like there was so much being shared in the chat, which is so great to see because, yeah, like if you compare like even 5 years ago, if someone were to be talking about being burnt out at work, like it really wasn't a conversation. It really wasn't something anyone gave time to, but now I feel like it's just getting better and better, and everyone's being, more open with how they're feeling, which is great because everyone feels the same. So it's always nice to know that other people are going through the same things you are. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us today. And then I'm just going to resend our report in the chat one more time. If you want to take a look at the full report that Katya made, it's beautiful and has lots of great stuff in it. So definitely check that out. But yeah, I am going to do the giveaways really quick. So I'm going to do the Amazon gift card one first. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds. If you haven't voted on our Instagram poll yet, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to head over there and vote while I get it open here. Let's see. Does anyone else notice that when you open Instagram and you click your own story, it doesn't open right away? Or is this just on my end?
No, like Instagram has been laggy. I'm starting to become an Instagram hater because it's just so laggy. So it's definitely not you.
Always problems. I never understand what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to randomly select not looking. The winner is Hunter Tresnicki. Hunter, you're our Amazon gift card winner. So congratulations. Thank you for voting on our poll. I'll be reaching out to you after this to get some information from you. And then I have the names written down from everyone who is letting us know the HeyOrca feature that saves you the most time. So I am going to do the random generator here. And the winner of the HeyOrca hat is Francia. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Fonseca. I definitely said it wrong. I apologize. But you are our winner today. I know you're here because you've been participating through the chats. Oh, yes, there you are. Yay. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong, but I'll be reaching out to you both after this to get some information from you, and we'll get you your prizes. But thank you everyone so much for coming, and thank you everyone for sharing in the chat. I know sometimes it can be hard to talk about things like this, so thank you everyone who shared your own experiences.
And fun fact, Francia actually has the bucket hat. So Francia, you can add this to your collection. And I also want to give Francia a shout out. She actually did a case study with us that's just sharing how she used HeyOrca. And Francia, I was going to email you, but I just wanted to let you know that your case study is on our website now. So if you guys want to see how Francia and her team uses HeyOrca, you can check it out. They do really great stuff in the US and I think the Massachusetts area, Boston area, but they're encouraging people to take up entrepreneurship. Really great nonprofit that they're running, and Francia is really using HeyOrca to manage multiple locations. So if you want to check it out, there's a link there.
Awesome. And thank you, Anna, for the very kind words in the chat. That's so nice. Awesome. All right. Well, I know we're out of time now, so I can let everyone go, but thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you again, Robyn, for joining us and sharing your experiences with mental health with us. I think everyone really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much, Robyn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry if I talk too fast, by the way.
No, it was perfect.
All right,
Thank
see you
you.
guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.